Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Yes, Emmeline, are you taking seminar today? Okay. So who's the one starting the topic actually? The first topic is yours itself. Just see.
Ma'am, I am taking psychologist at work.
Psychologist at work. Okay. That's a separate topic. Okay, you can start then. Do you have a PPT? Yes.
Good morning to all. Today I am going to take seminar on the topic psychologist at work.
You can share the screen.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Psychologist at work. There are different fields where the psychologists work mainly. They are clinical, counseling, community, school, and organization psychologist. First, clinical psychologist. Clinical psychologists help the client that have behavior problem by providing therapy, various other mental disorders in case of anxiety and fear. So clinical psychologist deals with the problem mainly the mental disorders, and they provide some therapies and require or cure the problems. They work either as private social agencies at hospitals and mental institutions. They work or private or social agencies at hospitals institutions. They conduct interview psychological tests and use psychological method for treatment and rehabilitation. So they ask or found out what is the problem with the client, and they start the treatment by psychological method and rehabilitate it or cure the problem. Next is counseling psychologist. Person work with the person who suffer from motivation and emotional problems. So the clients of counseling psychologists are the person who are lack of motivation and emotional problems, and also counseling psychologist has less serious problem compared to the clinical psychologist. And also in making professional choices, counseling psychologist helps the client in decision making of a future, selecting our future. Okay, they also work as private social agencies, mental health care, schools, universities, and colleges. Third one is community psychologist. Focus on problem related to community mental health. Rural areas they work as mental health care. Urban areas they work as drug rehabilitation programs, and also they are found with the mentally challenged people, old age homes and all. They may be some other state representative and some workers private agencies. Next is school psychologist. Obviously, school psychologists work in educational system. They help in formulations of policies that is done for the welfare of the institutions. Interpret the test result to help the child with their problem. So they come and interpret in the test result. So they found out the problem within us and help us to cure it. Communication between parents, teacher, and administrators. Provide teacher and parent information about the academic procedure of the student. As we said in the second point, they help in our problem, what we're facing. Last one is organization psychologist. Help, just a minute, okay. Helping with the problem that the executive and employees of the organization face. So help help there will be some problems between the employees and the executive, so the organization psychologists help them to reduce the problems. And also they training helping training employees, improving working condition, developing criteria for selecting employees, so they help for the welfare of the institution they work for. So this is the condition of an organization psychologist. He is the one person who have to look after all the employees, their problems, for the well-being of the institution. So thank you.
Okay, very good. Shall I ask a doubt? In educational settings, the school psychologist or the educational psychologist helps in developing policies. Is it only for the welfare of the institution?
No, it helps the teacher and student communication, administration communication and all. For the well-being of the students, they are working.
Yes. Yes, not only for developing policies, like they might need some changes in the working of the institution. For that, the school psychologist might help. For the welfare of the staff, like teachers as well as the non-teaching staff, for that they might help. Then in developing co-curricular activities, how much stress are the students facing? To analyze that, they might help. Then during parent-teacher meetings, if teachers wants to convey something very important and which is very sensitive to the parents, for that the school psychologist might help. Okay, so developing policies is not only for the welfare of the whole institution, but also for the people who are there, including the students, teachers, non-teaching staff, and even the employers. The employers, if there is a set of people in the management, they might also be facing tensions and stress, isn't it? Because they are the heads, they are the ones who are making the decisions, the important decisions in that institution. So obviously they'll also have certain psychological problems in the form of at least some form of stress will be there. So for that also, the school psychologist might provide their service. Okay, very good presentation. Now, question session. You, Emmeline, can ask one question to these people and vice versa. Please keep your videos on, children.
What is the main difference between counseling psychologist and a clinical psychologist?
Open question, anyone can answer. Don't force me to call out your names. Yes?
I'll say.
Hmm.
Counseling psychologist deals with less serious issues compared to clinical psychologists. A counseling psychologist mostly helps in like career guidance or mild issues or advice in mild issues. Clinical psychologists, however, deal with more severe issues like mental disorders or clinical depression, and they work to get a prevention or a treatment for such issues disorders.
Yes. Is it correct, Emmeline?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Counseling is basically daily life problems. Okay. And the other one is more severe problems which they find very difficult to manage. All right. Yes. Now, can anyone of you ask one question back to her? Anyone? Some of you are sitting as if in some old Bollywood movie. Ask one question to her. Anything. A simple question is enough. Malavika.
What is organizational psychologist?
Ma'am, I didn't get the question.
What do you mean by organizational psychologist?
Organization psychologists deal with the problem that is faced between the executive and the employers, and also they train the employers and develop some criteria for selecting the employers, improve the working condition. They help in the welfare of the institution as well as the employers.
Okay. Is the answer satisfactory?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Very good. So this is how you should present. Please don't set up PowerPoint presentation and just read from it. Okay. You have to explain in your own words. PPT you can use obviously for assistance, but you have to explain the concept to us while you present. Okay. Very good, Emily. Now who's next?
Thank you, ma'am.
Abhilash is there, then Amal Roshan, Eva, and who else? Devika. Are you all ready?
My PPT is not fully completed.
Completed.
Ma'am, I want to complete PPT full.
Okay. Abhilash.
Mine is the continuation of the second part. So there's no introduction for branches of psychology.
Okay. Who is taking introduction for branches of psychology?
Ma'am, I'm doing that.
Devika Stone. Okay. What about Eva?
Ma'am, my PPT is ready, but I'm using my phone right now. I don't have my
PPT is ready, but I am not ready.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. So next class. Okay. Make sure it's all of you prepare for the next class. So we have already completed chapter 2. Please take the review questions. Page number 42. Please keep your videos on. Amal, Abhinav, Nestle, Basuri, Eva, Omar, Malavika. Rose, read the first question.
What are the goals of scientific inquiry?
Yes. Can you say the answer also? We had a mnemonic for that. We had a code, Deep Sea, remember?
Description, prediction, explanation, control of behavior, and application.
Application. Okay, that's the direct answer from the textbook or the portion that we have studied. That is description, prediction, explanation, control, and application. We taught you one code, right? Deep C, DEP-C, and finally in the Deep C we have A. That is application. Now, question number 2. Meryl.
Describe the various steps involved in conducting a scientific inquiry.
Yes. What are the steps? Again, direct question. That flow chart is there in the beginning of the chapter.
Conceptualizing a problem,
Yes.
collecting data, drawing conclusions, and revising research conclusions.
Revising research conclusions. 4 steps. Okay. If it is asked for an essay question, like if you are having a written exam, if it is asked for an essay question or a short essay question, you'll have to draw that flow chart also. Very simple. Just write the headings, put it in a box, draw the flow chart. Make it a cycle. That's it. Okay. Yes. So what happens in conceptualizing a problem? Conceptualizing a problem means in the research, what will we do first?
Select a topic of study.
Select a topic of study and we'll do review of literature. We'll set the hypothesis and all those things happens in stage 1. That is conceptualizing a problem. Second one is collecting data. Collecting data involves the blueprint. Don't just write about the collection of data, but before collecting, we have to set from whom we are collecting it, by which method we are collecting it, what are the tools we are going to use, and all those things. Okay, we have to set a blueprint of the study, and then only finally we actually start collecting data. After collecting data, we have the third step as drawing conclusions. Again, analysis of data, all those happens, and we draw some conclusions from that data, the results. Okay, and the final step is revising research conclusions. We'll see if the hypothesis is accepted or rejected. And after that, if we have to revise, we'll revise it. There are conclusions. That's it. Now, question number 3, Amal.
Explain the nature of psychological data.
Psychological data. Explain the nature of psychological data. What will we write in that? Which are the 4 types of psychological data that we learned?
Social context.
It's not context, it's a different word. Sanjana, can you name one? Anyone? Types of data.
Ma'am, psychological data.
Psychological data, yes, that's one. Very simple. Then, Devika.
Ma'am, demographic information.
Demographic information. Can you name the rest?
Physiological.
Yeah, if psychological is there, obviously physiological will also be there. Okay, then I told you don't confuse physiological with something else. What was it? The facilities, the transportation, the structure of building, all those available for the participant. What is that?
Physical information.
Physical data, physical information. Okay. So when you think of psychological, think of physiological. Obviously, if mind is there, then body should be there. Okay. Then I told you physiological should not be confused with physical. So connect it and learn like that. And finally, not finally, it's the first set of data that we collect, that is demographic data, which means the personal details of the person. Personal information like name, gender, caste, age, education qualification, all those things. Okay, demographic data, 4 sets. So the nature of psychological data, you can write that. Explain those things. Then question number 4, Halina.
How do experimental and control group differ? Explain with the help of an example.
Yes, explain with the help of an example. Experimental group and control group. So when we started studying about this experimental method, we started studying about variables. Which are the 2 types of variables in the study in experimental method?
Independent and dependent variable.
Independent and dependent variable. Yes, right. So which is the variable that the experimenter manipulates? Kevin?
Ma'am, the dependent variable.
IV or DV?
I'm sorry, independent variable.
Independent variable, IV. Okay, so independent variable is the one which the experimenter manipulates or varies or changes its value. Okay, and its effect is studied on the dependent variable. That's how its name comes. Dependent. It's dependent on the IV. Okay, And which is the group? We divide the participants into two equal halves, two equal groups. That is called experimental group and control group. Okay. Now, experimental group is the one who receives the
independent variable.
Independent variable, IV. Okay, and dependent variables effect is, the effect on in the dependent variable is studied there in the experimental group. Whereas in control group, it is just a what group?
Comparison group.
Comparison group. It's just a comparison group. It's only for the purpose of comparison, just to make sure that the effect on DV is just because of the IV. To make sure that this happens, to study the what relationship?
Cause effect.
Cause effect relationship. Correct. To study that cause effect relationship, we are doing this. Okay. So you have to write that. And experiment, you can write any kind of simple experiment. When we studied that, I think we discussed about the exercise and all, isn't it? Exercise and weight loss, all those examples. Yeah. Then fifth question, we'll read. Emily.
A researcher is studying the relationship between speed of a cycle and the presence of people. Formulate a relevant hypothesis and identify the independent and dependent variable.
Okay. So what is a variable before that?
Anything that can change and measured.
Yes, anything that can vary or change and it should be measured. Then only we can call it a variable. Okay. And two types of variable we already discussed, IV and DV. Now what is the question? Please read the question once more. The researcher is studying relationship between speed of cycling and the presence of people. Okay. So one thing is speed of cycling, speed. And the other one is presence of people. Okay. Now, hypothesis. What is hypothesis? It is a what statement? That is a word for that.
Testable.
Testable, and also it is a tentative statement. That's correct. Testable or a tentative statement, which means tentative means it might change. It's not exact. It's not sure. You have heard this, right? There is the tentative date for your exams are announced, which means around that period of time, your exams will be conducted. Okay, so tentative means it's not exact, it's not fixed, but it might change. So hypothesis also is like that, right? We are setting a statement, but after the study only we can know if this is confirmed or rejected. After finding the conclusions, after coming at a conclusion only, we can make sure that this hypothesis was true or not. Okay, so hypothesis again a tentative statement. Now, what else is there in the experiment? Independent variable and the dependent variable. That also we discussed. What is the independent variable?
The variable which can be manipulated by the researcher. The variable which can be manipulated by the researcher.
And the DV is the one which is not manipulated by the researcher. Okay. So what is the question again here? We have two things, presence of others and speed of cycling. And what is the question? What are we supposed to do with it? Formulate a relevant hypothesis and identify the independent and dependent variables. Okay. So can you just try? There are two things. That is, one is speed of cycling. The next one is presence of others. Okay. Now, how can you set a hypothesis based on these two things? So, obviously, in experiments, what do? We find the what relationship again?
Cause effect.
Cause effect relationship. Okay. So obviously one should be the cause and one should be the effect. And usually in experiments, IV is the cause and DV is the effect. Okay. Now here, when you get variables like this, just see if both of them have the capability to become the IV and DV. That is the cause and effect. Okay. So can you try and formulate? Just try and write. Write on your own. Take your books and write. Try formulating hypothesis. Speed of cycling versus presence of others. Just do trial and error methods and see how what can affect what, and will it affect the other, like that. Completed.
Yes, ma'am.
How many more to complete? All have completed. Okay. Abhinav, could you find one?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you share with us?
Yes, ma'am. Like, if a boy is asked to ride a bicycle, ma'am, in market 2 different speeds, then first that boy ride the market speed with speed, and the people move away quickly when he is in more speed, and he rides in more speed. And when the cycle is normal speed, ma'am, the people is like less likely.
Okay. So you, according to you, you're telling if the speed is increased, speed of cycling is increased, then presence of others will be decreased. Isn't
Yes,
it?
yes, ma'am.
And the other way.
No, if the speed is increased, then ma'am, the people will move away from it quickly.
Yeah, so the presence of others will be decreased, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
People will run away because of the speed of cycle. And the other way, if it is a person who, if the person is riding the cycle in a very slow speed, then obviously people will be walking around.
Yes,
the presence of others will be more.
Yes.
So you can, how can you set the hypothesis? It's just one statement. You cannot explain in such a way. So how will you set it?
Ma'am, like one sentence.
One sentence. It is one statement. one tentative statement or one testable statement. We have to test in the experiment if this happens or not, or if this is true or not. So you have to set in such a way.
Ma'am, as the speed of cycling increases, it makes the people move away from the cycle. There will be less people around it.
Okay. Yeah. So you're telling the speed of cycling increase.
As the speed of cycling increases, like ma'am, it makes people move away from the cycle. Means
we cannot use the word people will move away. You have to use these two terms: presence of others, speed of cycling. This increase in speed of cycling will lead to decrease in the presence of others. Like that we can write. Okay. Now try the other way. Anybody who has a different hypothesis?
Ma'am,
Kevin.
Ma'am, I feel on the presence of more people, the speed of cycling will be reduced.
Okay. So presence of others will lead to reduction in the speed of cycling.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Any other hypothesis? There is no right and wrong in this. Okay. Because we are setting a hypothesis. If it is wrong at the end of the study, we'll reject it. If it is correct at the end of the study, we'll correct it. That's why all research is said to be right. There is no right and wrong research. Okay. Like, remember I told you about Edison? No, I didn't tell you. Was that the other batch? Yeah. You know Edison? Who was that?
Ma'am, the light bulb.
The light bulb. Yeah. Okay. Electric bulb, isn't it? Yeah. Not the electric bulb, the person who invented the electric bulb. So he tried thousands and 10,000s and millions of times to make it, to invent it, isn't it? And when somebody came and asked that person, he told that I found these many ways of not making an electric bulb. Understood? And it was after that, maybe some 10,000 or the 1 lakh time that he found out how to really make it. Okay. So no research is waste. That is the point that I'm trying to make. Whichever research we are conducting, if we don't get the results which are in accordance to the hypothesis, no problem. We'll just write in conclusions that we reject the hypothesis. That's all. Okay. So again, here, any other hypothesis that you can get? Think in different ways. All your hypotheses are similar to this, the discussed ones. Sure. Shreya, what did you write? Tell. Similar one. Rose. Just read it louder. No, I cannot hear. Sorry. Sanjana.
Ma'am, I wrote the presence of others may cause decrease in speed of cycling.
Presence of others may?
Cause decrease in speed of cycling.
Decrease in speed of cycling. Okay. Now, what if the variable is running? Instead of speed of cycling, it is running. Okay. Will your hypothesis be the same? Like presence of others will reduce the speed of running? Yes or no? Take time to think and answer, no problem. Instead of this speed of cycling, instead of this one, I'm giving you running speed. running speed of a person. And you have to set a hypothesis with this presence of others plus running speed. So will it be the same hypothesis? Presence of others will decrease the running speed of individuals. Will it be the same? Or will it be similar? Will it resemble the other one set earlier?
Ma'am, in this case, there'll be one more possibility, right?
Like?
That both are not interconnected.
Which are not interconnected?
Ma'am, the presence of people and running speed.
Not interconnected.
There can be a possibility because we all have run when there are people around.
No, so what do you think? According to you, what will be the hypothesis?
I'm practically thinking I would feel that when there are more people around, we normally decrease the speed of running as well.
What about in a running competition, running race?
Ma'am, in that case, regardless of how many people are there, you have to run at your
Yes, but just imagine a situation where I'm not telling that you're wrong. Okay, that is also correct. I'm telling we are looking at from different perspectives. Okay, so imagine one situation where 5 people are around you and you're participating in a running race. Okay, and in another situation, there are maybe some 65 individuals around you, and you are participating. Not you. Let it be somebody else. Somebody else is participating in a running race. So obviously, if the person's friends and family members are there in that group, they'll cheer for this person, isn't it? Won't that motivate the person to run faster? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So is there a chance that they might run faster in a situation where there are more number of people than the less number of people?
Ma'am, it can also depend on the person.
I'm asking yes or no. That was a close-ended question.
No, but like the situation itself.
A close-ended question. Tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now you can explain.
Well, because if the person is someone who enjoys spotlight, then of course he'll run at his best if there are more people around. But
Yes.
if it's someone who is very stressed or pressurized about this competition, if there are more people, he'll do worse.
Yes. The person with social anxiety will obviously tremble in between, isn't it? Yes, that's true. I'm telling you, there are possibilities that this might also happen. Presence of others might improve your behavior. Okay, like again, when you're doing a seminar in class versus when you're doing it in front of the whole school. Okay, some of you have a tendency to prepare more, isn't it? Because it's your prestige issue. You have an image in front of your friends and your teachers and the rest of the people in the school. Yes. And in class, only the subject teacher and your classmates would see. And it's just a matter of 5 or 6 minutes over. But if it is in front of the whole school, obviously you start preparing. Not obviously, at least some of you would start preparing from a week or so. Isn't it? So the presence of others might improve our behavior, might. Depends on people and depends on the situation also. Okay, so that's it. So it can be, the hypothesis in our question can be set in different ways. And presence of others, you told it will decrease, right? The other way around can also be set. The presence of others will enhance the speed of cycling. It can also be set. Okay. Haven't you seen some boys when they ride bikes and all? When they are in front of the bus stops where some beautiful ladies are sitting, they usually increase the speed and usual show off. You all have seen it, isn't it? Yeah. Again, presence of others can increase the speed of riding. Might be because of some other causal factor, but it can. Okay. All right. So this is how you set a hypothesis. And it's not necessary that it's entirely something that you expect at the conclusion of the study. It's not necessary that you have to find. That's why we are doing the study, right? We are testing this hypothesis to know whether this is true or not. So don't get tensed about setting the hypothesis. The only problem is you have to word it correctly. If it is not true also, no problem. After the study, we can just write in the conclusion, we reject the study. That's it. And not the study, sorry, hypothesis. We reject the hypothesis. Okay. Then next question, I think question number 6, right? Yes. Who will read? Abhiram, can you read question number 6? Abhiram is not available. Angelina?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the text?
Yes.
Yes. Read the 6th question.
Discuss the strength and weakness of experimental method as a method of inquiry.
Strengths and weaknesses means obviously the advantages and disadvantages. I think we have already discussed that in class, right? Yes. Yes, in the presentation it was there. So it can be duplicated or replicated by other individuals. That is one advantage. Then it helps to study the cause-effect relationship. That is another advantage. Then what else? Yeah, the use of 2 groups. That is done by random assignment. So there is no much bias coming in. The random assignment method is used to divide the participants into control group as well as experimental group. So that is reducing the bias. Then, yeah, the other factors that might affect our dependent variable that are kept constant. That is also one good factor, means strength of experimental methods. What else? Yeah, so personal biases are reduced. I told that point, right? Personal bias are reduced. Then it can be performed at any time. Okay, limitations. Limitations. One problem is generalizability. I told you. We are conducting that by controlling so many factors. But in real life, nobody will come to control all these factors, isn't it? Here the experimenter, the investigator, the researcher is there. But in real life settings, it's less applicable. Less applicable means generalizability is low. That is one problem. Then some people say that it's very artificial and unrealistic experiments. Depends on the topic that we take, actually. Then it's difficult to control all the factors that might influence the DV. That's why we learned other methods, matching, counterbalancing and all. Okay. So it's very difficult to control all the factors that might influence the dependent variable. That is one problem. Yeah, that's it. Okay, next question. Question 7. Kevin, can you read?
Ma'am, I want the textbook.
Shreya.
Dr. Krishnan is going to observe and record children's play behavior at nursery school without attempting to influence or control the behavior. Which method of research is involved? Explain the process and discuss its merits and demerits.
Are you feeling dizzy? Okay. So Dr. Krishnan is going to observe and record children's play behavior at a nursery school without attempting to influence or control the behavior. Which method of research is involved? Explain the process and discuss its merits and demerits. Obviously, it is an observation method. So which observation is that? Is Dr. or Mr. Dr. Krishnan going to join that nursery school and be the participant among those nursery children?
Ma'am, non-participant observation.
Yeah, so obviously it is non-participant observation. Okay. Obviously the children will note such a person sitting near them, isn't it? So it cannot be participant observation. Unless Dr. Children, what is that? No, I'm sorry, slip of tongue. Dr. Krishnan takes the place of the teacher. But then also it won't become the exact participant observation. For participant observation, this person should be among the participant group, one among the participants. Like as in a football team, they can be one among the team members and then they can observe the sports behaviors and athletic behaviors and all. Okay. So non-participant observations, you have to write about its merits and demerits there. That is, merits is in a natural setting, the researcher or the observer observes the natural behaviors of people. Can be like naturalistic observation. Then they get a lot of information, first-hand information. We call it first-hand information. That is also one advantage. What are the demerits? Again, the usual one, labor intensive, time consuming, all those things, isn't it? It's labor intensive, right? Because the observer has to go to the setting, they have to observe the children for a very long time, and then only they'll get a quality set of information. Okay. Then personal bias might occur because if I am going and observing, then I might have my own values and principles, and based on that only I'll observe, isn't it? And judge. Yeah, so that is one problem. Personal bias can occur. Then next is, still what time is our class?
9:20.
9:20. 20.
Yes, ma'am.
It's already time, right? So we'll discuss the rest in the next class. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.